Welcome to the Freaky Film Club. Number 3. It's a little different this time because, the co-host is dead. He's dead. And we're not bringing him back to life with a seance or anything. So unfortunately, my Dream Warriors dream team couldn't be here, but I do have the backup team, Pop Culture Roulette.
Wow, we're the backup team. Wow.
That's
I mean, they're still part of the dream team, but the backups are,
it's preseason.
Man.
they still get rings.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, I guess.
We're the preseason squad.
how's it going, guys?
Sorry.
Oh, doing good. How are you guys doing?
Very
Well,
wonderful.
Getting over COVID for the second time, so I apologize up front for the occasional coughing that might happen. I am trying to suck on a cough drop, and I will try to cover the mic when I go to cough. But just
And
letting you know.
We are
But, you
social
know-
distancing,
It's true.
just so everyone knows.
So yeah, all right. So tonight we're taking a look at Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. Probably regarded as like one of the best in the franchise by most people. Wes Craven actually came back to help with this one. He did some of the writing on this, and his concept was actually he wanted to end this movie here with this story, but of course it kept going like all good franchises do.
He wanted to end it after the first one.
That's true. But then he also, when he couldn't get his way with that, he's like, all right, I want to end it after this one. And then he didn't get his way with that.
No.
So
And then I want to end it after this one.
So unfortunately for him, that didn't happen, but great story. Actually, there was 4 writers on this, which usually doesn't mean good things for a movie, but in this movie's case, worked out, I thought. Directed by Chuck Russell, who was also one of the writers, and then Wes Craven, Bruce Wagner, and Frank Darabont. I don't know, I probably butchered that, but that was another writer.
Frank Darabont. That's a pretty big name.
Yeah.
He directed, wrote the first couple episodes of The Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like the producer on the first season or 2.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's got I can't remember off the top of my head what else he's done, but I mean, because he had a pretty big name going into The Walking Dead, but he was a big reason that The Walking Dead started as successfully as it did.
Okay. Wow. That's good to know. All right. Fun fact. You've got quite an extensive history of pop culture. I wonder if that will serve you well in the future.
All right, we'll find out later on.
Or in the past.
Or in the past.
Or in the past. Yeah, that is true. We'll find out.
Yeah, it's true. All right. So let's jump in here. Actually, before we begin, did you ever see this movie before your 2 and 3 viewings over the weekend?
Yeah. Back when I graduated college, I moved to Florida.
Okay.
And I was living in Florida, and all of a sudden I was like, I have this massive amount of freedom to finally watch whatever movie I want to watch. So I went on a binge and I watched every Freddy movie and every Jason movie, so that I could go see Freddy vs. Jason in the theaters.
Oh, okay.
So it's been a while since I've watched any of the Freddy movies. I know I rewatched the first one like a month or so ago when we were gonna do the first Freaky Film Club, but then whatever happened and I wasn't part of that. So so I've recently rewatched the first 3.
Gotta bring that up again.
I'm just I'm not sour. I'm not sour.
I'm not bitter or nothing.
Yeah, so that's cool. So we've all seen it prior to the rewatching, and I don't really recall my first watching this, but I'm sure it was over basic cable at some during a marathon. I don't know. Justin, do you remember your first viewing?
No, not of this one.
Okay.
But I know I've seen them all.
Okay. So let's open up here with first scene is Kristen Parker in her room, and she's working on her art project, and turns out it's a nightmare. And I think it's a great opening. I wrote hanging kids are much greater than a school bus.
Yeah, a lot scarier.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get to the differences later on, but so they start with the art project right when she starts running, like she grabs the kid and starts running. How obvious is that it's a doll? Like,
oh yeah,
they really,
yeah.
I mean, granted, I know that Patricia Arquette would have been early, like late teens, early 20s, because this was like her first big movie or first movie. So you probably don't want to give that, young of a person another child and say, here, run through this complicated set as fast as you can. But like, man, it was so obvious that it was a doll.
Yeah.
It was.
That's true. So then she has a false wake up, and it's her mom walks in, and it kind of looks like, of course, she's slitting her own wrists, but it's Freddy. And that leads her mom to taking her to the psychiatric ward. I think it's called something Hills. I don't know.
What? Weston Hills.
Weston Hills. Thanks. And then we meet Dr. Neil Gordon, who I really like this character. He plays a really likable / conflicted guy. I don't know. And I thought his chemistry with Nancy, which I guess we'll get to later, but I thought their chemistry is really good in this. So Kristen right away fights being sedated by the doctors, but then Nancy intervenes and reveals that she knows the chant.
The nursery rhyme.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of puts her a little more at ease. And so kind of cool that we get to see Nancy again. This is our opening scene to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, great.
And I think that's too when they show Lawrence Fishburne.
Right. Yeah.
Did you notice in the opening credits or opening sequence when it shows like the characters or the cast, it has them as Larry Fishburne?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I read that. I was like, what?
And he looks so young. Like,
yeah, he does. It's crazy. Yeah.
Because she slashes him because she doesn't want to be sedated.
Right.
Yeah, and then he has the tiniest little
Band-Aid
on.
Poor Larry Fishburne.
Yeah.
I mean, so basically, when she comes back, Nancy comes back, that's them basically just saying, hey, whatever just happened in the second movie, forget all of that. Like that,
right.
Like that, none of that happened. Like we're moving on. Like we're going right. Like if you were to rewatch the series, you could go 1, 3, and then on into the future. And like if you never watch 2 again, you're not missing anything because 2 like doesn't ever come back up, right?
Right, exactly. It's kind of like here's something that's just a side story that happened randomly.
And I will tell you, on the rewatching of them, I remembered a lot more of 3.
Mm-hmm.
2, basically, I was watching 2 for the first time. Like I know I had seen it before, but like none of it, like I didn't remember any of it. 3, I was like, okay, I remember this, I remember that, But yeah, 2 was just, and I'm like, now I know why 2. I don't remember 2 because
it's weird.
Yeah, 3 is a lot more memorable. I think out of the whole franchise, that's probably why it's regarded so high.
It's shocking that they were able to make a third after 2 because it's just like, wow, this wasn't really all. I mean, it was okay, but it's just weird, and I don't think the critics really liked it.
No, I don't think. I think 2 is widely considered the worst of the franchise.
Sure. So we're kind of introduced to some of the new patients as Nancy meets them, and we'll kind of get into it once we get into the group therapy session. But before that happens, Dr. Neil researches Hypnocell, which is the experimental drug that Nancy is using so that they don't enter REM. Is that right? Just prevents them from dreaming.
Correct.
Okay. So
and that does come back up throughout the series. I know it definitely comes back up big in Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm. It's no longer experimental at that point.
Yeah, it's like mass produced. Is this the first mention of it in this franchise?
I
Don't
believe
say
so.
anything. Okay.
Because they like 2, they just acted like nobody knew anything was happening, and like it didn't even follow its own rules. like 3 at least went back to the rules that were set in the first one,
Yeah.
and
Right.
so like I think the third one was kind of even further setting the rules and cementing them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, further just going, hey, remember 2? No, you don't. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
This is number 2.
So after the night that he's doing his research, Kirsten has another nightmare, and this time it's of the stop motion bike and the house breaking, and then Snake Freddy appearing. That's a good one. I like the look of that. That was really cool, actually.
Is that when she pulls Nancy into her dream?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I tell you what, for being, what was this, 1987? A lot of it actually kind of holds up. I mean, there's a scene we'll get to that really doesn't. But I mean, for a lot of the special effects actually kind of hold. I mean, obviously, you're watching an 80s movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you're watching an 80s horror movie. So, but I mean, a lot of the stuff actually, I think maybe because they did a lot of practical, not a lot of,
Yeah, that definitely helps. But yeah, so that was a cool scene, and that's when we find out, like you said, she can pull people into her dreams, which they didn't really make it clear exactly at the beginning when that happens, because it's just like Nancy just suddenly sees the house glow, the papier mâché house glow, and at first, like, I kind of forgot about that whole plot thing, and I was like, oh, so Nancy has the ability to do this now? She can jump into dreams? And then they explained it. I'm like, okay, I got it. So
how terrifying would that be if someone else could just pull you into their dream?
Right? Yeah.
You're just minding your own business, sleeping, all of a sudden you're just in like Nicholas's dream.
So whose dream who has the ability, and what kind of dream is it?
That doesn't matter. I don't want to be pulled into anyone's dream like that.
Well, not those type of dreams. No. But,
yeah, I mean, the dream definitely does matter, but still, the shock of being pulled anywhere is fucking scary. I mean,
how'd I get here?
So next up, we've got the ending of that dream is, Nancy stabs Freddy in the eye, Snake Freddy in the eye, and then they go back to reality. So the next day is the meeting, and that's kind of when we're introduced to all the characters, all the dream warriors. And so we've got Philip, who's a sleepwalker. We've got Kincaid, who's the tough kid. We've got Jennifer, who's a hopeful actress, and little Will, who uses a wheelchair because he tried to kill himself, which I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing at my sloppy handwriting. And Karen, who's a recovering drug addict, and Joey, who is too traumatized to speak. And those are all the patients / dream warriors. Although I don't think they'll get a chance to be dream warriors for very long.
They talk about a couple of them before they meet in the group too, because like Nancy's going around.
Right. Yeah.
Room to room. So you find out the first one likes to make puppets.
Right. Yeah.
So you do learn a little of their background.
Yeah. I like Kincaid. That guy made me laugh. Like, I forgot about how he was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So at the meeting, that's like, of course, our big character introduction. And Neil is still kind of nervous about the whole idea of Hypnosil. They actually meet for dinner, Nancy and Neil, and they kind of discuss it a little bit more. They kind of have like a debate about it. And that same night, we have the first death, which is pretty cool. It's Philip's puppet death. which is a very interesting looking stop motion.
Yes. The whole time, like when he wakes up as the ventriloquist and he's just walking down the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
It's like their security at that place sucks. Like
yeah, for real.
Like he walks past like the nurse's station and like no one's there. And
well, you could tell they're all the people that work there are all like dopes. I mean, there's that one guy that was like trying to get Taryn back on drugs. So they're not very responsible people, it seems like.
That's true.
So it doesn't surprise me that they just let that slide.
Yeah.
But they seem to let a lot of stuff slide.
yeah. That's a death that I feel that one sticks with me the most as far as like iconic like scenes, like because that's the one I remember from like way back in childhood, seeing like that on TV, that whole like out the window. That's the one that impacted me, and going through the TV. But we'll get there. I'll edit the fact that I even said that out.
That's the one.
So pretty interesting sequence. Everyone kind of takes notice of what's happening and wakes up, and they're trying to yell for him to obviously come back inside, and Freddy kills him.
Yep, cuts the strings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and of course
you've got the tendons, if you will.
Right,
and of course you've got the classic trope of one of the head doctors just refusing to believe what's going on. Like these people are waking up with massive cuts on their hands or body, like they all like independently of each other, they had never met, like
right,
are giving the same exact accounts of like, and she's just like, nope, you're all crazy, like
right.
you're all
you need to go to the quiet room.
Yep. Just coincidental trauma.
Yeah.
So then next day there's a group discussion, and of course, everybody's understandably very upset. It's kind of crazy. That's the next day. They didn't even take a day to just like grieve.
Yeah.
They're just like, all right, let's talk about it.
Let's get right back in it.
Yeah. So now at this point, Neil makes a request for the Hypnosol. He's convinced and he'll give it a shot. And there's actually, after this, I guess I wrote, unless I'm skipping something, feel free to stop me anytime if I go too fast. But next up, I have there's a nice moment between Max and Jennifer, because Jennifer's watching TV late at night, and Max, who is played by our good pal Larry, he allows her to stay and watch TV, which I thought was a nice moment. Just a little small one. And then
I agree. Like he's very understanding, where she's like, after the trauma of what happened, like I can't sleep, I just need to stay up tonight. And he's like, I never saw you, you never saw me.
Yeah.
Then with what happens there, that's got to weigh heavy on him, just knowing he was like, okay, I'll let you do this. Yeah. Oh crap.
Oh well, she would have died. He doesn't know that, but she would have died some other creative way. Either way.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, this is the classic. Well, before the death, there is that scene I mentioned earlier where one of the workers tries to get her back on drugs. Really, this scene is like really unnecessary.
Yeah, it does seem kind of out of place.
It's pretty much only just establishing that like she was on drugs.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it does come back up later on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or establishing is also that like she's actively trying to be sober. And like be on the right path, but like it just seems so out of place for this random orderly just to like, because like you don't really see him much before or after,
right?
Like he just is like, hey, what was her name? Karen?
Taryn, I think.
Karen, yeah. She's like, hey, I got the keys. Want to go get some good drugs?
Want to get high?
Like what is this grown ass man all of a sudden like just coming up to like a teen girl like, hey, used to be a junkie. You want to go get high? Like,
want to ruin your life again? Come on.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Yeah, it's.
I mean, if anyone deserves to get killed by Freddy, it's that guy.
Yeah, really. That would have been very satisfying, but unfortunately, no.
Well, we don't know. We never see him again. Let's just assume Freddy got him.
Yeah.
Now,
maybe there's a deleted scene. So then the classic. Welcome to Primetime, bitch comes up, where Jennifer gets hugged and smashed into the TV.
Yes.
Okay. I do have one thing about this death. I mean, it's classic death, and Freddy. Like, this is really like the moment where Freddy goes from just being Freddy to being the icon, like having the killing somebody, or right before he kills somebody having the snappy one-liner, you know.
The
But
Freddy we all know and love right there.
so he grabs her, lifts her up, and smashes her head into the TV. Which, with the old school CRT TVs, would have killed you because it's got all the transistors and capacitors and all that stuff in there. They're like, "Yep, that's suicide." So you're telling me that this woman, this tiny little girl, lifted herself up and smashed her own head into the TV, leaving herself hanging there?
Yeah.
Nope. Yep, that's suicide.
Right. It's like those screens were pretty solid on there.
Yeah, and
that's one of the things I thought too. I was like, yeah, they walk in and her body's still just hanging up there. It's like,
right.
How'd you get up there?
I mean, it'd be one thing if the TV was on the ground and like she just like ran at it, but like it is up in the air. Like it is like she's like good like 2 feet off the ground, and they're just like, nope, suicide.
Right. Maybe it's just less paperwork for them to fill out if it's ruled a suicide as opposed to some other incident. So
doesn't our pal Larry walk in there too and find her?
Yeah, I think he does.
Like, what has to be going through his mind when he walks in there? It's like, well, I'm getting fired. Let me go erase some footage.
Yeah.
No, I did get her to agree to say that she had never saw. All right. I guess I'm in the clear.
And don't they have like cameras in there too and watch of sincere body just levitate and go into the TV?
Because like you can make like, because the one kid was a sleepwalker. Now, granted, he also managed to sleepwalk through a locked door, get into a tower, and managed to lock the door from the outside back and then climb up the tower and jump off. You could still make the argument, well, he either was an accident because he slept, walked right off the tower, or he killed himself, he jumped. I mean, the one kid saw him and knew he didn't do it, but
right.
That kid doesn't necessarily have probably the best, like if you're in court, like, you're like, well, he is he is a inmate at the, asylum.
Yeah.
So he doesn't necessarily have a trustworthy judgment. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, we do have a question about how we managed to get through the locked door. But this one, there's even more like, well, how are you're gonna tell me this little girl smashed her head through a TV hanging from the ceiling? Like,
yeah, it just does not add up.
With her arms and legs both dangling by her side.
Yep, suicide.
Yeah, makes no sense. But cool death. And the talk show thing was really funny too, because they just cut right in the middle of it, which I thought was very clever. Good fourth wall breaking, which the series, of course, like we all talked about, becomes very well known for.
Yeah.
So
well, and do either of you know who those people on the talk show are?
Dick Cavett,
Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Okay, so at least you're aware that Dick Cavett used to be like ridiculously famous. Like when this movie came out, he would have been on the level of like a Johnny Carson or Conan O'Brien or a Jalen, whatever talk show host we have nowadays. Like that would have been like Dick Cavett would have been right below Johnny Carson, right? Maybe even on the same level as him, depending on where you were in life. And then Zsa Zsa Gabor, I don't know where she was on the famous level, but I mean, she's been famous for being Zsa Zsa Gabor for forever. So
right on. So then the next day, we're at Jennifer's funeral, and Neil meets Sister Mary Helena, who starts to tell him something, but they get interrupted by Nancy, and then she just disappears. Very spooky. We as the audience really don't learn too much from this encounter, but we will soon. So then later that night, Neil and Nancy have dinner again, and
Are those two an item at this point?
it sure seems like it, which
Yeah.
happens so fast.
Like at the funeral, they just kind of like the way he puts his arm around her and stuff. It kind of is like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Are these two an item?
there was not
And-
much build up to that.
Right. And he does go immediately from like, you're crazy. How dare you try to do this to, we need to, Freddy's real. We need to find
Yeah.
his body,
I mean, women
There's
have a
only
way
one-
of making you
Yeah, there's got to be only
Sure.
one answer for that.
change your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So then after after that scene, the dinner scene, the next day, Nancy explains Freddy at group. Oh, and I guess I should explain. I mean, dinner, all they really talk about important to the plot here is like that little doll that Nancy has, and then she kind of explains Freddy, I think, to him a little bit at dinner. Is that what
a
happens?
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, the next day after that, Nancy explains Freddy to the group and is like, "Hey, you guys aren't crazy. I know what you're talking about. Freddy's real."
Yeah.
And so that's what's
Isn't this the part at group 2 where they decide to go into that group hypnosis?
right? Yes, yeah, which is very
If it doesn't work, I
really
promise
cool
you.
idea. Yeah,
And then they're all showing like what they are in their dreams.
yes, that's right.
The one kid's like, in my dreams, I can walk. And he just stands up and he's like a wizard.
Yeah, I thought that this scene was pretty corny. Like, yeah, my dreams, I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
Which
And then-
like,
The other guy bends a chair.
Right? Yeah, that's your power.
And the guy and the what Dr. Neil. And he's like, hey, calm down, man. He's just bending a chair. I was like, hey, all right.
Yeah,
So this is-
really.
this is also the scene where the mute kid, Joey gets taken
Yeah.
Yeah.
by the nurse.
Yeah.
Who, how old is Joey supposed to be in this scene?
He looks like he's like 12, I would say.
Because
I'd
did
say
they ever?
teenager, not I don't think 18 though.
Okay, not okay.
16?
That's kind of where I was thinking, like 14, 15, maybe 16.
I was thinking
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
High school age, yeah.
So, if they were to film this movie today,
Oh, someone would have got canceled.
Oh yeah.
there would
time.
be some people screaming about the content of this particular
Some
scene.
some yes, some no. It's like that episode of South Park where it's like, oh, they're sleeping with the student, but they find out it's a female teacher, so they're all okay with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
There-
there is that double standard, obviously,
Yeah.
but I do know that there would have been a fair amount of people going, you can't have a 16-year-old making out with a naked woman. Like,
Whoa,
Even-
whoa. Pump the brakes, guys. Don't film this.
yeah. But I mean, but I also like they never really establish how old anybody is.
No, they never really do.
I mean, he definitely looks young, but yeah, they never really say. But I got the feeling if your parent is putting you there, that means you have to be under the age of 18. Like-
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
True.
Like, like if you are involuntarily being, placed in a facility like that, like you have to be under the age of 18. So yeah.
well, maybe hopefully they're in a state where the age of consent is
That's a good point.
low.
Could be.
Maybe. Yeah, but it's a very that's a very bizarre sequence.
Yeah.
It kind of gives me some Phantasm vibes.
Okay.
mean,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Freddy's a demon, so I guess it's like a little different. But obviously Freddy reveals himself in that scene and shoots tongs to wrap him up to the bed. Just fucking so weird.
Yeah. That's bizarre.
Yeah. It's so badass though to see like the floor crack beneath, and then there's just that pit like to hell with
And
all
then
the skulls
and
lining.
the mattress goes tumbling down.
Yeah, that's really cool. I liked that. But so that's what happens to poor Joey. But meanwhile, everyone's talking about their powers, like we mentioned, and Neil and Nancy. Oh, yeah. So they wake up and it's revealed that Joey's in a coma, and they think it's because of the experimental drugs. So
Yeah, he's in a deep coma, they say.
right.
I didn't realize there's different levels of a coma. I figured if you're in a coma, you're in a coma.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there were different levels either. This one's very severe, very
Yeah.
deep.
He's in a deep coma.
It's so deep. Maybe it's like so deep you can't like hear anything from the outside world. That's how deep it is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you've got a light coma, medium coma, deep coma, and then a very deep coma, and then death. I guess. I don't.
All right, so that leads Neil and Nancy to be relieved of their duties because she's not responsible.
Can't put kids in comas.
Nope, can't. do that.
Maybe light ones, but not deep ones.
Right. Then after that, Neil speaks to Sister Mary again, and we learn more about the Krueger family, specifically Amanda Krueger, who it's pretty brutal what happened to her. She was raped by like
100
maniacs. So
Yes. He is the son of 100 maniacs or something.
That's
100 psychopaths.
yeah.
Which
I was like, I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, that's not how it works. But hey, if that's how you want to sell the story, all right.
Yeah.
They might have to settle that one on Maury. Have all 100 maniacs show up and find out who the real father is.
I mean, there's going to be 99 guys being told you are not the father.
That would have been an interesting one in like further down the line movie. Freddy's on Maury.
Yeah.
Trying to find his dad. He could find his brother. What was his brother's name?
Oh yeah, Steve
Krueger.
Everyone go check out Steve Krueger on Media Pod Smash YouTube channel. It's a real good classic. All right. Anyways, so where the hell are we? I just watched this fucking movie. Why is my memory so fucking bad? Like, okay, no, I know what happens next, guys. Don't worry. They get relieved of duty. We learn about Amanda Krueger, and then that's right. We find out that Freddy's remains need to be like purified to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Actually kill him.
Buried on hollow ground.
Well, yeah, he needs to have an actual burial, not just whatever they did to him.
Right.
Yeah. So that Nancy goes and visits her dad.
Right. And they're at a bar, and he's very uncooperative.
Yeah.
So at first, he's not cooperating, and Nancy has to go back to the institution because some shit's going down. That's because Kirsten's put in the quiet room, so that leads Nancy to leave while Neil still tries to convince her dad. And it's kind of weird because in real life, I feel like it wouldn't play out this way, but the conflict between her dad and this dude, like I think her dad would probably kick that guy's ass in real life.
Yeah. Well, and like they literally just met like 2 days ago, and he's like, I know I don't know you, but if you don't help, I'm gonna kick your ass. And it's like, well, first off, her dad's a cop, and you're a pencil pushing doctor. So,
right. You need to believe me.
Like, so what you believe pretty heavily in this nonsense, like real fast.
Yeah. I mean, it helps that like it is a fun movie, so you can like kind of forget about a lot of the crap that's you're just like, wait a minute, but it's like, So Nancy goes back to the institution to try to see if she can get Kirsten out of the quiet room so that she doesn't fall into sleep. And Neil and Nancy's dad go to try to find the remains, which is at an auto scrapyard. Nancy gets her way into another group session of hypnotherapy so that they can have a final showdown, I guess. the group goes into the dream world, and then Freddy kind of separates everybody, and this is kind of like our big like lead up to like the final like conflict here. Right. Like I didn't miss anything, did I?
No.
No, you're good.
Okay. And so this is kind of where people start getting picked off. Taryn gets, this is a really brutal scene here. This is Freddy's drug kill. Taryn finds herself in a back alley, and Freddy approaches her and he's like, "Look familiar?" And he reveals the needle fingers, yeah, which were pulled off the store shelves for the Hot Topic exclusive Freddy figure.
Yeah, the hypodermic needle figures.
Yes, because some people get a little uppity. You can kill and murder and rape people, but please do not put hypodermic needles on your hands.
No drug usage. You get pulled off the shelves.
Right. So yeah, I thought this was just really vicious, actually. Like this was kind of tough to watch.
Now when all the little mouths were coming out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way they did that though was really cool.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was one of those harder scenes.
But this is definitely another one of the scenes that kind of cements the Freddy legacy and kind of takes, I mean, I think obviously Freddy had a following after the first movie. The second movie probably didn't help, but it must have been still big enough. But I think this is where, with the "Welcome to prime time, bitch," and then this one kind of like, yeah, I think it also sets kind of the mood going forward, where like,
yeah, he's a jokester.
Where obviously Freddy is the bad guy in every movie, but people are almost kind of rooting for Freddy because like they want him to have like the cool inventive kill.
Right. Yeah. Like what's he gonna do next?
Right. Like he's not. I mean, not to badmouth the king of slashing, but Jason pretty much just has one.
Yeah.
He's got one general move, and that's just to slash you with a giant machete, or
right.
Rip your head off, or I mean,
every once in a while he'll punch your head off though, or he'll.
I mean, he does do some variations, but I mean, he doesn't necessarily. He's not got the snappy one-liner.
Right.
I don't think he has any lines. He's got
True.
no liners.
Except for when he screamed for his mother as a child. All right. So next up, Will gets killed. It's just pathetic. I'm the wizard. He tried. I mean, he did hurt Freddy, but then Freddy came back and he's like, "I don't believe in that shit," or whatever. I don't even know what he says. But I don't know. Kind of, I mean, this is kind of laughable to me.
Yeah, Will didn't stand much of a chance. I honestly thought Taryn was gonna do more. Like she got taken out pretty quickly and pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like I didn't remember her going out so fast. I thought she was gonna do more damage before she went down. But
yeah, for being called Dream Warriors, like they really don't do a lot of fighting with Freddy.
Yeah, not much of the warrior aspect.
Yeah, I mean, like there's some cool stuff, but yeah, they go down pretty quick. So then after that, we find out that Kincaid, Kirsten, and Nancy are still alive, and they managed to group up together. And Kincaid starts calling Freddy out, which is pretty funny. Just calling him like a bitch, whatever else. Next, we're back to the auto scrapyard, and Neil gets attacked by a stop-motion skeleton, which is the remains of Freddy.
This is the part of the special effects that I feel like didn't hold up compared to the rest of the movie.
It had that very much that old Clash of the Titans feel to it.
Yeah, a little bit of the Army of Darkness of the Skeleton Army.
Yeah. It was a little rough, but still cool. Very cool premise. I mean, literally a skeleton just fighting these guys in real life. Like you don't really see that too often, but
Yeah,
Cool.
it's like at the scrapyard, no one came across those bones. Like, this is the first time the skeletons attacked anybody. Like,
Well, and
there's no like warning, beware of skeleton.
well, or how many years that those cars have been sitting in the scrapyard, like they haven't been scrapped yet,
Right.
because it was just in the trunk, like
True.
like that scrapyard is really, really slacking on getting this job done.
Yeah.
Same with the parents who murdered Freddy. Just throw his bones in that car's trunk.
Yeah, it's like the best they could do.
Yeah. Nah, no one's gonna look in that trunk.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd want to like dig a hole and just like throw them
Right.
all in.
Go out in the middle of the woods or something. And
Right. Yeah. Or like a lake somewhere, anything really. It's just other than a trunk. Yeah. So now next up, we're back at the asylum institution, whatever you want to call it. And Joey uses his dream power, which is his voice. And that is what stops Freddy from fucking up everyone's day. Because it looked like he had the upper hand there for a while. But Joey uses his voice and gets him to go away. And actually, at this point, we think everything's going okay. We think Neil's probably dead at this point, but it looks like it might be the end of the movie because Nancy's dad comes back in the form of like a spirit, and he's like, "I'm moving on, Nancy. Like, it's okay. I'm sorry." And then, psych, it's Freddy. And have a little bit of a battle here between Freddy and Nancy. He downs her, and then she looks like she might be dead and stabbed, but then she gets back up and stabs Freddy, who's on top of Kirsten. And then while this is all going on, Neil is trying to get up and purify the bones with the holy water, which he stole, which I forgot to mention because he went to a church and stole a crucifix and holy water. And that was a weird scene too.
Yeah, you just walk into the church and just take holy water.
Right.
Like, is that the process of it? They're just like, oh, I need that. You just
Mine
unattended.
in like an empty alcohol bottle too.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you,
Enlighten us, Nicholas.
that part doesn't bother me because if they're leaving the rectory open so that people can come in and pray and like because that's also right next to the candles. Like the priest isn't necessarily going to be on duty 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
So like him walking up, filling the alcohol bottle with holy water.
They really have that in churches?
Yes. In Catholic churches.
I should know that, but I've always thought it was just the things in the sides when you can like dip your hands in them. Not like I didn't know
they might not have like as deep a reservoir as that, but I mean, I guess it probably depends on the church. But,
sure, yeah.
I mean, but yeah, there are definitely some of the bigger Catholic churches are going to have, the holy water reservoir for you to, do,
whatever with, and I'm sure, ours might even have it. I'm just not very observant, and I haven't been in there in like 20 years, so don't even trust what I say.
And I'm not Catholic, so.
But yeah, that was a bizarre scene because like then he takes the crucifix off the wall and he's like, "You're gonna have my ID."
Yeah. Like he tries to pay him, but instead of like he like doesn't hand him the cash, he just hands him his driver's license. Like
I'll be back with this.
So weird.
Here's my driver's license as collateral.
It kind of just felt like I don't know, it was like forced levity or something to me. It's like we have to just lighten the mood for 1 second and then here. But
yeah, we're not stealing from the church. We're just borrowing this. We will return it.
Yeah, it's fine. So Neil does succeed in getting the holy water on the bones, and Nancy unfortunately dies though, and everyone wakes up the next day, and it's Nancy's funeral. At this point, Neil sees the nun walking once again, and then he heads over to a headstone, and it's revealed that Sister Mary Helena was Amanda Krueger. And finally, the very last scene is Neil going to bed He's got the doll, the little dream doll, and the house lights up. The paper mache house lights up. So is Freddy really dead? We don't know.
To
And-
be determined.
I did some reading, and apparently they originally filmed where they tried to use the idea that Heather was the one who turned on the lights, like she now lives in the dream world. Like Freddy was dead. Now she's in charge or something like that. But clearly they either at the last second or right going into, or like, we are gonna want to do more of these. Change that up a little bit.
Interesting. Well, I mean, that's it then. I guess that's Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. Did you guys have a hell yeah moment for this one?
I mean, I really did like the TV, like when the robot arms come out of the TV, and, like she lifts her up and he's just like, "Welcome to prime time, bitch."
Hell yeah.
The way
Great
the way his head too comes out of the top
Yeah.
of it. Yeah. That one always stood out to me. That was like one of my favorite in the franchise. And then the hypodermic needle one too just stands out.
Let's get high.
Right on. Yeah, that's a good scene.
Yeah, that
disturbing.
seems it's very, very creepy. The little mouse, feed me, feed me.
Yeah. Mine, I'll say, is when Joey's over the pit where everything kind of starts crumbling and the mattress falls. Like that's just really cool.
I mean, I did have a hell yeah moment about 30 seconds before that. But
Yeah, the lead up to that scene.
That is a good hell yeah moment too. Yeah. So yeah, what about well, okay, I guess the last thing we do here, I forgot how the format of my own show. So I'm going to give this, actually, I'm going to give it a perfect score. I'm going to give it 5 Malaysian Dream Dolls out of 5. I just think it was, I don't know, it flowed really well. Not once was I ever like, I was always engaged. The kills were super creative. This was, like you said, Nicholas, this is like there's the movie where he becomes really the icon. And it kind of, I don't know, it's just a solid movie. I had a great time with it. So
Yeah, this one is the one that like skyrockets the franchise.
yeah, I mean, it's the one that really, this is the one that really sets the mythos going forward, while completely ignoring the second movie. It turns Freddy into the icon. Like, I mean, Freddy was because I mean, Freddy didn't really do much in the first movie. Like he was there, but he wasn't. They tried to do stuff with him in the second one, but I think that movie was so uneven that like this one, like it finds its footing. I'm not going to give it 5. I'm going to give it, I'll give it 3.5 blades out of 5.
all right.
Yeah, I don't know if I could give it a 5. I was thinking like 4.5 hypodermic needle fingers
Okay.
out of 5.
Okay.
Like there's a couple things like with the whole when he goes to the church, it's like here's my driver's license. There's a couple things like that where
That's
it's like
true.
where it's like really that's what. But
I mean, you're right. It does flow really well. Like it doesn't like once it gets well. I mean, it starts pretty well. I mean, like
yeah,
there's
with
not
her
really.
mom in the beginning too, and she's like waiting up, and her mom's like, "Okay, go to bed. I got company downstairs." And she's
Yeah,
like, it talks about having those dreams. Her mom's like, "Whatever. I have the possibility of getting some. Go to bed."
Yeah, like there. I mean, if you think about it too much, there's definitely large portions of this movie that fall apart. But if you just have fun with it and watch it for what it is, it's a good one. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, I don't remember the rest of them as well. I remember, was it number 7, where everything is like set in the real world, New
Right.
Nightmare?
Mhm.
Yeah. I had until this weekend, I had thought 7 was the worst one. Now I might have to reevaluate and say it was number 2. But
Well, 2 had Robert Englund as himself being the bus driver. I thought
That
was
is true.
That's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I do really like this one, and I can definitely see why a lot of people say this is their favorite one or the best of the series because it really it re-jumps the franchise. It gets it going back in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I don't even know if re-jumps. It just jumps the franchise up. Because the first one was like, I don't think the first one was critically acclaimed. And then the second one was just, hey, don't look at that over there. And then the third one's like, all right, here we go.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, hell of a good time. I really, it's definitely one I'll be revisiting, and one that'll always make its way into the marathons for the October season. And I look forward to watching some more of these things. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, anytime.
You know what, guys? You're not my backups. You're my starters.
We are
We made the starting line.
And before we go, what dream powers would you have? I forgot to ask you guys. I was going to ask this at the beginning of the show. What dream powers would you pick if you could be a dream warrior?
Oh man.
Dang. Oh man.
I know I hate to spring this on you. I'll go first. I would like to be like stretchy. That's what I would do.
Like a Mr. Incredible, or not a Mr. Incredible?
Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Plastic Man over here.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. I don't really know how that would help me though, get out of like a nightmare. It might actually like slow me down.
I think I would go with like a Deadpool or a Wolverine, like a healing factor. So like no matter how many times Freddy tried to kill me, like I just would be, I'm invincible. What are you gonna do? Stab, stab, stab. You're not doing nothing to me.
I think I'd go for some kind of like a super speed or the ability to fly. Freddy comes up, just pick up this, I'm out, and then just go on.
Peace. You're too quick.
Yeah. Grab the rubber band man over here and take off.
You know what? I changed my mind. I'd rather bend a chair like Kincaid. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, whoa, calm down, Kincaid.
Yeah, come on. Whoa, man.
Whoa, you need to sit on that chair. What are you doing?
Meanwhile, everyone else's powers were like way more than that. Like,
no, not
well,
what was her name? Terrence.
Yeah, what was her powers other than having a mohawk and like
and
a leather Oh yeah, that's right. She had
2 little knives.
Yeah, that was it. That's a shitty power.
In my dreams, I'm cool. Knives. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, I'd say the other one too is with another good moment with is it the Patricia Arquette with the snake when it starts like eating her?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, when did that happen?
Doesn't that happen in this one?
Early in that. That's right before she pulls Heather into the dream and Heather stabs her in the eye, stabs the snake in the eye. We talked about part of this. Nancy. Her real name is Heather.
Yeah, I know.
Nancy.
True. That's also too when she pulls her in and then Freddy sees her and he's like, "You again," or "Not you," or something like that.
Something like Now, I read something that even this movie suffered from the rating system. Apparently, originally the snake was very pink. So they were like, "That's a little bit too phallic," and they had to like go through. They had to throw a bunch of like green goo on it because they were like, "Yeah, we can't." Like otherwise, it looked like a giant dick was eating Patricia Arquette, and they were like, "Yeah, we."
That's not okay. But this 19-year-old nurse and this 16-year-old guy, that's fine.
Yeah, right.
That's 100%.
Yeah,
but we can't have a giant dick eating somebody.
Play it in reverse.
Crossing a line.
Then they're shooting them out.
God.
I mean, that's how we all got here.
That's true. That's how we're going out of this world too. Shot out of the. Well, that's my plan. I mean, I don't know about you guys. All right, well,
then.
That's been it for the Freaky Film Club. My name is Jeremy Jordan, and my 2 ghoul hosts over here are. Whoever
Nicholas.
wants to say it first.
Oh, I thought you were going to go through. I thought you were just going to.
I know we never usually do this. I'm breaking
Oh.
format.
Yeah.
All
I'll
right.
let you say it.
All right. Well, I'm Nicholas.
I'm Justin.
Good evening, guys. Bye. I still don't know how to end it. 13 episodes in. All right.